The Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast is dedicated to all things Horus Heresy. This podcast delves into the grimdark universe where Primarchs clash, legions rise, and loyalties fracture faster than a Land Raider's track. But it's not just about the lore of the Horus Heresy. The Accountabilibuddies also explore the gaming side of things, from painting and modeling tips to product reviews and ideas to help you in your hobby. So, whether you're a seasoned Forge World veteran or a fresh-faced scout, this podcast is your Vox channel to the galaxy. Expect discussions on lore, modeling, gaming, and maybe even the shenanigans that your hosts somehow seem to find their way into. Remember, in the grim darkness of the far future, there are only two things you can count on: heresy and your trusty Accountabilibuddies.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to episode 100 of the Heresy Accountabilibuddies Podcast. Very special episode tonight, brought to you by myself, Duncan, and my co-hosts, who hopefully for episode 100 will get this right.
Brian.
Dan.
Jack.
Jamie. And John.
And there we go. It only took us 100 episodes to get the intro right, but we did it, by God. We did it. Well done, gentlemen. This episode and all episodes are brought to you by our kind and generous patrons and our kind and generous sponsors. Here's the sponsor list.
Do you love resin bases? Then go to our sponsor, Elric Hobbies, for all of your basing and basing accessory needs. Use code HeresyABB at checkout for a discount. Legendary Monument Hobbies. Monument Hobbies is a one-stop shop for all of your painting needs. Use code HeresyABB at checkout for a 5% discount on your purchase. Pop Goes the Monkey. Find maker of third-party accessory bits of arms, legs, backpacks, and more, where you can get 10% off your first order over $125 with code HeresyABB at checkout.
And again, thank you to our patrons who have done so much to help us out. This is episode 100, everybody. It's a big one for us. It's obviously we're kicking into the triple digits. We're catching up on old RFI. We're catching up on a number of people. We've overtaken a lot of people on how many episodes we've had. We've got our contest giveaway tonight. We've got some special announcements tonight, but before we get to everything, that's all the fun and everything, let's go to John with the news. John, what do you got for us?
Oh, you want to do news or you want to do...
No, let's do news and then we'll do hobby update. And I think right after hobby update, we should all talk about what we started off wanting to do hobby-wise when we started the cast. And then we can say overall
for me, news-wise, I'm kind of ashamed to say that we don't have a ton. Now, saying that, we did get a little bit more of the trader units that are coming out for Legions Imperialis from GW. We got some another Solar Auxilia Herald article from GW, and from Joy Toy, we got the most glorious Hawkboy himself, Sanguinius. Mm-hmm. He comes with all three of his weapons, his two swords and his spear, as well as the giant melt-the-pistol, which looks like a little toy in his hands. He even comes with a giant flying vase. Honestly, as far as figures go, this is probably the coolest one they've made. They spared no expense on this guy. He's got tons of posability. There's a bunch of different poses of him, like diving and things in the article that makes it really cool. And then you've also got the Blood Angels Power Armored Praetors coming as well from Joy Toy.
I'm definitely looking forward to getting Sangy, the Glorious Hawkboy.
Yeah, I was buying the Primarchs for a while, and I may go back on it for him because this model is just beautiful. I'm thinking about using Horus as the centerpiece for that memorial garden table that I've been talking about. But Sanguinius, I think he just needs a cool place on my shelf.
Yeah, he's absolutely adorably beautiful. I cannot wait to see it in person.
Yeah, I haven't gotten any of these, and I have to say that this was one that is on my radar, maybe. Pretty cool looking.
There we go. Anything else, John?
That was everything from Warhammer merch. For pre-orders this week, it wasn't really anything coming out. And then from Starforged, we've got the Custode Shield and Custode Sword are coming out. The shield is a magnet/keychain. So on the back of all their latest releases, they give you a little bit of 3M tack. You can either put a magnet back or you can put a pin back on it. And then the Custode Sword is a keychain. And so each of these is $16 a piece. So not terribly priced. And they're kind of neat looking if you just want to add some little accessories to your stuff. But that's really been it. I think GW is kind of slowing down for the holidays. We got that big dump of all the scarves and clothing last week. And then, with the Imperialis book coming up, I think that's probably going to be closer to Christmas release. It looks like the Mechanicum Legions Imperialis box is going to be limited release. It's already started selling out in certain places. Looks like so. If you wanted to get that unit, go ahead, or wanted to get that army started for fairly cheap, go ahead and try to pick one up while you can. From Gale Force 9, they have come out with a new set of pre-painted terrain called Gothic Sector. These are really, and I do mean really close to the old Dawn of War 1 sculpt. And so they've got the listing post, orbital relay, Legion's arsenal. So honestly, it looks like they took the entire Space Marine armory, built it in 3D, printed it out. And these are pre-painted pieces of terrain. They come with magnets that you have to glue in yourself. And they're not terribly priced. I found a local retailer that had a couple of them in stock, and so I picked up the listening post as well as the orbital relay for $25 a piece. Paint-wise, they're about tabletop quality. If you get close, you can definitely see where the priming missed the undersides of pretty much everything. And then a lot of the kind of hand-painted spots are a little over, not following in the lines, but everything I've got has edge highlights on everything, and these are kind of painted in a dark angel's green with that kind of snot green highlight. Not terrible. They're a little hefty. I think they're either made of polystone. I think it's a little too heavy to be resin. But for $25 per piece of terrain, that's almost what you'd pay for an MDF kit of some of these. So yeah, I'll probably be picking up a table of these.
Yeah, the MDF is about the same price, and I think these would probably hold up better long term.
Yeah, the thing I worry about is storing them, because the packaging really isn't like even. They used to have like special foam cutouts that go in the boxes. Now it's just bubble wrap. And if you look at these on Gale Force 9's website or wherever you're going to find them, there's a bunch of little radar dishes kind of everywhere on these, and those are individual pieces that you can magnetize on or just glue. They're sculpted in such a way, though, that you could just leave them off and you wouldn't even notice that they're not supposed to be there. I went ahead and magnetized mine because, it was there, so I figured I'd go ahead and do it. But honestly, in the future, I would probably just leave them off. They're so finicky and easy to break. And even with magnets, they're kind of hard to keep attached. And putting the magnets in, I had to go find my old solder pusher. Tool. Yeah, the magnet tool that's the solder pusher. They're super deep in there, so you really have to kind of finagle a attachment method to get them in there.
I think there was the keep or whatever, the main building was 55-ish, and then the
most expensive one is the main Space Marine headquarters for $60. Then there's a Mundus Imperialis set that looks kind of close to the guard stuff that was available, and then there's also a United Frontier, which is all the Tau buildings from Dawn of War 1 expansion. And honestly, like I said, they're between $25 and $60 per building, and even the ones that are $60, they're pretty hefty. That's really all the news we've got this week.
Video game wise, Space Marine 2 got a big update with the Hydrophant in it.
Oh yeah, they added a new operation with the Hierophant.
Yep.
That you have to go take down. You take over a couple guns, and then the guns kind of sector in on it and blow it up. It's definitely not something you're going to be soloing in close combat weapons.
They also announced the secret level for the Amazon Prime show, whatever it's called. They'll be coming out December 10th, with it featuring Lieutenant Titus in that.
Yeah, and some of the rumors I've heard is that's supposed to take place after the game, and then it kind of leads into some of the DLC stuff.
Yeah, that's kind of what I've heard too, and I just actually looked at the Warhammer community article, and it said it takes place after the game. So,
is this the Harry Cavill show?
No. The Cavill show is kind of on permanent hiatus from everything we've heard. This is Amazon teamed up with a whole bunch of different video game companies, and they've come out with it's almost like Black Mirror, where each episode is individual, and they all kind of follow the same theme. In this instance, it's all going to be video games.
Yeah, the Cavill stuff is
live action.
PG.
Okay.
So, the Cavill stuff is on hold, and apparently, if they can't come to an agreement by the end of this year or whatever, the rights revert.
Yeah, it's going to be kind of weird.
Okay. That sucks, but whatever.
Yeah, I know we're all looking forward to Cavill's live action stuff, but who knows? I mean, maybe there's problems with casting it, with writing it. We all know Cavill's a supreme lore nerd on his stuff that he does, like Witcher and everything else. So if it takes him a bit and it's not perfect and he doesn't say greenlight it, cool. I'm fine with that. I'd rather it be right rather than be something just kind of shoved through because they had to get it done sooner. Does that make sense?
I mean, we all remember the Ultramarines movie and how that was. It was
Jack's favorite movie of all time.
Lots of walking.
Yeah, that was. I think Dan Abnett said he wrote the whole story on the back of a postage stamp. So it was, which is definitely interesting. I would rather have something correct and late than early and wrong.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, if that's all the news,
it would be just like if the Highlander 2 movie had been made.
I'm sorry, Dan, you broke up. Say again.
Well, he is making a Highlander movie, though.
Yeah, they're apparently doing a redo of the old Highlander movie with him. Yep. That'd be interesting.
Why do they have to redo all this stuff? Why don't they just continue the story with something new?
Well, they couldn't. I mean, Highlander was a self-contained story. That's why nothing ever came after it. That's why they never did any more movies. The TV show was a neat spin-off. I thought that was kind of neat.
I heard they're making.
Did you watch the animated TV show?
I tried it, and it was horrid.
I saw the full the full run of the TV.
I heard they're doing a reboot of The Crow. It's like that was the perfect.
It's already released.
Already out. Absolutely horrible.
It bombed hard.
Why? I mean, that they shouldn't have messed with it, right? That movie was the perfect timing of the perfect movie and the perfect release time. They were never going to recapture or improve on that.
You're telling me, Dan, you didn't watch the other 5 Crow sequels?
Yeah, I went to see 2, and it's one of the only movies I've ever walked out of the movie theater in the middle of.
So, because the new Crow came out, some people were reviewing some of the other ones, and they were horrid, we'll say. But one of them had Ed Furlong and David Boreanaz, and my buddy and I bought that just to laugh at, and it was great for that. It was a terrible, terrible movie.
I mean, I was one of the hugest Mystery Science Theater fans, so there has to be a little bit of me that likes really bad, cheesy movies. Not out to my buddy Mark, who also is a Mystery Science Theater fan with me, probably bigger than I am. So we realized that at some point, in order to enjoy them making fun of them that much, you have to like them to some level or enjoy that level of badness.
Yep.
So.
Well, gentlemen, let's move to the hobby section. A little bit differently, like I said a little bit earlier. Now we've got 100 episodes in. We've been around doing this for quite some time. We started doing this before 2.0 actually dropped. let's talk about what the hobby stuff you were working on before we started doing the casting was, and since then, what you've accomplished in this 100 episodes. I'll go first. It'll be easier for me. Before we started doing this, I was actually working on the beginnings of trying to start on a Night Lord's army. And I was looking at expanding my Sons of Horus and my World Eaters a little bit. But I hadn't really worked on anything new very much. Since starting the cast and since 2nd edition has dropped, I have redone my entire Sons of Horus army. I have done an entire Blood Angels army, and I'm at about the halfway point on redoing an entire World Eaters army. So I guess in a way for me, since doing this, the cast itself has encouraged me more to continue working on hobby, continue working on my own projects, build myself into a better painter, because I've also done now 2.5 Primarchs, and I've still got the con to do for Jamie for the Toys for Tots army. Hang on. And I've got Night Hunter coming up. I'm going to end up doing a new Angron as well. And I'll probably end up doing a new con for myself also. So I've kind of dug a lot deeper into the hobby, and I've started doing more and more for stuff that I'd never thought I would really do. I didn't really think I would ever redo the World Eaters army because I was happy with it. I definitely didn't think I would redo the entire Sons of Horus army, and I never thought I would do another Blood Angels army. So it's been kind of surprising to me. I've also enjoyed really a lot of the tips and everything that we've been passing on, because in our community we've got a lot of really nice painters out there. Shout out to Brian, shout out to Mike, shout out to a number of people out there. And we've also got a number of people who are also coming up who are beginning or even beyond beginning level painters who are getting better and better and better as time goes on. Huge shout out to Turkey from the Discord, who does that every time he posts pictures of stuff. He just keeps getting better.
But he's young, man. He's like super young.
He's like 15, and if I had the painting skills that he had, or he has when I was 15, and I had actually painted models back then enough to actually care, I cannot imagine where my stuff would be these days. Yeah. So I just look forward to seeing how well his stuff is done in the next 10, 15 years. He's going to be a world beater. And going forward for the next 100 episodes, I'm going to finish the World Eaters. I'm going to do all the characters that have been released for the Sons of Horus, and I'm going to likely
keep going for about a year, though.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to get this Warhound Titan started and finished, and I'm going to work on either White Scars or Night Lords. I haven't decided which one yet. And with that, for my hobby progress, I will throw it over to Jack.
Oh, lordy, lordy, lordy. Look who's turning 40. See here. Before this podcast started, I was working on Ultramarines. During this podcast, I worked on Ultramarines. After this 100th episode, I'll probably continue to work on Ultramarines. That sounds about right. Right, John? Right, Dan?
Absolutely. Best Legion.
I mean, you've also done Fists.
You mean yellow?
And you've painted some demons.
You mean red?
He experimented in his youth.
No, in all seriousness, before this, I was working on redoing my Ultramarines army for the 3rd or 4th time. They're, my favorite Legion, so as my abilities have grown, I've, and learned new things, I've just been updating them along the way. The incarnation that they're in right now is probably going to be their final form. It's a nice mixture between a good-looking paint job and something that I can knock out a lot of bodies in a short amount of time when I want/need to. I'm happy with where they are. I think it's a little bit of Matt Cain here, a little bit of other painters there. So I think they're in a good spot. Like Duncan said, did Imperial Fist for Dethroned last year. That was a fun example of painting yellow. Did red demon skin for Samus for the Toys for Tot Army last year. And that was good, working up through, appreciating red skin. And all of which that, got turned into content for you all. That's a lot of the quote unquote hobby time that I have in the back end before life has taken its turn. So here in the last couple months, went into putting up videos, editing stuff, all that good stuff. I'm trying to make sure I still have time to do those type of things. I don't have enough time to record right now. Hopefully that will change. But pushing out content has been a big thing that I have been working on for the past couple 100 episodes. I think I deserve a producer title at this point. I need to talk to my agent about it. I'm pretty sure producer, based upon everything I've done. Yeah, I'm gonna stick with.
I think a pay raise.
Give myself a pay raise for 100% increase from what I'm making right now.
Mm-hmm. At least.
Moving forward, continuing working on the back end of the podcast, continuing to work on the Ultramarines when I have time, continuing to hopefully when I have some time off, because I just don't take time off during the year, so I'm going to have a big stretch of time off coming up here next month and the month after for the holidays. And since I'll just be sitting around, maybe I can knock out a couple videos, knock out this mastodon that has been. Are we cussing in this podcast now? I forget.
Sure.
Okay.
Sure.
That's been kicking my ass for the last 4 or 5 months because it's just been sitting there mocking me because it went all wonky during summertime in the heat. And now it's just staring at me. It's staring at its cold dead eyes. Finishing that up, getting a video out for that. I know there's some videos that I need to get out for various and sundry things that I want to do, want to try, and want to share with all of you all. Because if you're not trying something new, then in my opinion, what are you doing to help grow those muscles of hobbying? But the worst thing that happened to me this week, and this is a horrible monkey that will be on my back for probably another 20 to 30 hours. MechWarrior 5 clans have came out, and that has taken over my life. Jamie, I'm gonna kick it over to you.
So when we were started this podcast up, I was kind of just getting back into the hobby. I mean, I'd been in it, a big hot and heavy and first edition, and prior to first edition, even 40K, back to what? I guess about 6th edition, when I was involved in other podcasts and stuff like that. And so coming back in because of, I guess, Duncan was kind of the instrument, me kind of getting back involved in the hobby and bringing me kind of into the fold with everybody. I had started on it. I'd been collecting stuff to build a Dark Angel army for, I don't know, probably like better part of 12 years. To be honest with you, as soon as the Badab stuff started coming out, originally from Forge World, I started hoarding stuff. And so I had some stuff built out, and I basically had to redo all of that for my Dark Angel and make them 2.0 compliant. Let's call it that. And since then, which that was like 3 rhinos and 2 veteran squads and like a couple HQ units, I've added probably close to about 8,000 points painted of my Dark Angels. So I've done a lot. And also in that same time, I've also I've built 2 Toys for Tots armies, I want to say, and I'm working on a 3rd right now. And then I've also had some Night Lord. My original army that I started a long time ago was Night Lords. I've actually done some work on those as well. Not a lot. I'm kind of taking a break from my Dark Angels, so those, and then I have a Night House that I'm kind of reviving, and I'm going to add a bunch of stuff too, just kind of as a palette cleanser. Because I know I have a lot of Dark Angels and I have a lot of Night Lords, but I mean, a lot of people know I've built and painted a ton of other armies for like Toys for Tots. I think at this point there's really, I want to say 4 legions that I haven't painted or built and painted at this point. So, I mean, I'm not going to say my skills haven't improved a lot over the years doing them, but I've seen and done a lot. Let's just put it that way. So, and I'll just keep doing it. But I'm gonna mix stuff up. I don't know if I'd go as far as to say as I'm gonna go like to John's level and do a Militar or Solar Ox army just because I've done IG armies in the past and I just can't. I'm not that depressed. Let's say that I'm not that depressed. I'm not depressed enough to submit my body to that the volume of models that would require and the paint level that I would actually make myself do. So, but I'll keep doing stuff and helping people out. Get into the hobby and giving suggestions and stuff like that, and just having fun trying to release steam. It's, for me, that's what a big thing of this is to kind of just blown off steam with everything I've got going on in life. It's one of the few things I can do to just kind of isolate myself and put myself into something else. So how about we go John?
Sure. So looking back through my Instagram, when we started out, I had just finished up 9 tables for Adepticon and was starting to work on my Ultramarines jet bike list. Anyone remembers that? How that turned out in 2.0.
I do.
That didn't work out great. But I was also working on some other stuff. I'd finished kind of the first implementation of the Cobra Army, and it wasn't long after Duncan, Jack, and I think Dan was there too. It all met up for Music City Heresy.
Yep.
And started working on some Legion Imperialis stuff as well. So since then, I've really kind of expanded on a lot of the tables I've been working on and the armies I've been working on, and kind of staying within Ultramarines, militia, and then knights as well. I did a fairly large knight force I'm looking at coming back to. This year has kind of kicked me in the teeth, but I think I wouldn't have had it any other way with y'all and the rest of the community.
There's a big one right
together
there.
And everything.
Yep.
Obviously, in 100 episodes, we've had some giveaways, some delays on the last giveaway, but everyone seems to have enjoyed the table going out. And then, obviously, at the end of this episode, we'll be giving away the book, of course.
Yep.
And a secret that I'll throw in as well after the book gives it away. But, I'm looking at right now. This Wednesday, I built the last 3 of the 6 harvests I need to kind of expand the Cobra Army into a different way that I want to try to take it. to try to make it a little bit more flexible for 2.0, as well as all the giant stack of Marines and armor I've been painting for the Ultramarines to kind of expand that list into other stuff. Like Jack said, just paint more Ultramarines. And then also, picking up some Knights and stuff to work on. So I'm kind of trying to keep projects that I've always wanted to work on going, as well as trying to expand these armies. I've talked with Duncan and Jack about trying to make a special table for Adepticon and some stuff we're going to talk about a little later. But just some of the bigger projects that I've always wanted to do, which was the Cobra Army, to be honest, was kind of how that started. Was I'd had a guard army before that was all Steel Legion, and it was all metal, and with my back kind of going deteriorating, I kind of couldn't spend as much time bending over the table and or picking that army up because it was 100 all metal infantry. And so I moved on to just selling that and then kind of moving into the Cobra Guard. So, just expanding what I've got and trying to make sure that that we're always there for the community to give back to what we can. My goal for the next 100.
There we go.
How about you, Dan?
All right. Well, so and a little bit, this is kind of disturbing to me when I start thinking about this, because I've flitted back and forth between a lot of projects and not really finished many of them. When 2 released, my first pass was my Blood Angels army. So I bought everything that army needs. I've got it all. I've assembled some of it. I've got a few units colored, and or at least base colored and ready to go. So I've got my test colors and I know where it's going with it. And then I went through a big period where I was prepping for my hike and went on my hike. And then it was like, okay, now all the excuses are gone. I'm going to jump back in and hobby. And I haven't been. So, and I'm never good at these planning and predicting things because I tend to have a little bit of that ADD. But, and I'm sure all you listeners can relate, right? We got big plans, right? And just need to stick with them and do things. So my plans going forward are small. I am going to build this one unit for my Ultramarines. That's going to be the Valentis Dolar and his honor guard of Terminators with Thunderhammers that are going to be, he's the white and blue. I'm using the Terminator and Cataphractii armor Warhammer World Special model. Although I'm trying to fit a different, I wanted the Ultramarines helmets in there, I think, right now, actually, as we speak. Trying to figure out what I like to change them up a little bit. But I'm going to build that unit, and I'm going to get, I'm going to do this Inquisitor Erasmus, whatever the hell his last name is, as kind of my next display level army or model, with the intention of having him ready to put in for Golden Demon up in Milwaukee next year at Adepticon. And that's my plans right now, right? I'm not gonna look bigger. I'm not gonna look at other things. I probably will jump into and out of other things, but that's what I want done for Adepticon. And then just kind of my Ultramarines army has been at 80 to 90% for a really long time. It is playable. It looks okay on the table, but I need to finish up details, weather, and finish the bases up and just get that army already completely done. So hope to be jumping in and out of that as well as the others. So that's, kind of just small level. And then I've got a million other non-heresy things and probably jump in and out of those as I get bored with doing Ultramarine stuff and that. So I guess my biggest plan or hope is to use this last event and some of the inspiration from you guys to be a little more diligent about spending the time, because and I think this will go into some of our discussion later, but hobbying is one of my happy places, right? And so I find that when I do it, I'm more relaxed mentally. I'm in a better place. I'm more energized, and I need to force myself to do that. So that's kind of where I'm at. Is everyone gone now? Brian hasn't gone, right?
I have
Nope.
not.
So I think you're up.
Let's see. When 2.0 came out and the podcast started, I think I was looking at readdressing how my Death Guard can be made as far as an army goes, and I started adding a lot more vehicles to them. And now I've pretty much added all the vehicles I want to them, and the vehicles are mostly painted. I also bought the Age of Darkness box with the anticipation of using that to boost up my wife's Alpha Legion army. And I've done a little bit with it, but I'm still going back and forth on things that I want to add to that Alpha Legion army. It seems like most of the things I want to do with it just are too good on the tabletop, and I don't want to make it that army. So a lot of that has been underutilized, although I did use 10 Mark 6 to make a recon squad this past week. And that's been going good, other than I need to find a better scope for the bolter rifles. But yeah, that's about it for me.
I ended up getting some 3D printed scopes. They work pretty well, by the way. So there's an STL out there. They're tiny, so it's a pain in the butt to glue them on. But
Yeah,
I think Mark actually printed those for me.
I know there's stuff around. I just haven't taken time to look thoroughly.
Yeah.
I want to say Anvil Industries has put out some in the past too that were pretty good looking.
There's a company called Typebore Designs. I'm going to PMU them. They do a lot of tactical stuff and a lot of scopes.
Yeah, cool. I'll have to check them out.
I've got to say this. I've always liked a lot of stuff from Anvil. There's a lot of third-party casters out there, or third-party people out there who make really awesome stuff, and Anvil's been one of them for a long time.
Yep.
I could not have done the Cobra without them. They did a lot of realistic guns as well as different types of infantry. And they've been starting to go more into STL, which, although I don't have a printer, I've got friends that do now. So, farming it out a little bit.
Well, I think that pretty much sums up everything we have all done hobby-wise for a while, because we've all gone now. So,
I'm still just speaking of before we jump off of Anvil, I'm still disappointed that they stopped making their Mark IV jumping leagues. I know it's been 2.5, 3 years at least since they stopped, but it still annoys me. Sorry. Still like all their stuff.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, that's just a little quibble, but yes, you can. I think they actually may have those available as STL files because they moved a lot of their stuff that they were selling themselves over to STL files. So I would give that a shot and see if you can find it there.
I'll have to check that out. I didn't realize they had done that. I guess I hadn't paid that much attention lately.
Yep. It might be resized to Primaris, so if you get the STL, you can downsize it.
Okay.
So it's all good. So episode 100, we've talked about what we have done. What do we want individually to kind of focus on, and where we want to go with it for the next 100 episodes? And not just individually, hobby wise, but like as a cast, what direction do we all think that we would like to see ourselves push this into direction wise? I guess I'll kind of kick this off again. I've been, I think one of the biggest things I can say that I'm most proud of is we have brought a lot of people, or brought the word of heresy to a number of people. And we've got people who have started doing heresy, playing heresy, reading books, painting armies, having fun. And I'm really, really proud of that. Um, I'm happy that anybody who has found the game or the lore or what have you from us at all, or decided to start playing because of what we have talked about, I'm really proud of that, because expanding the hobby is one of the primary things that needs to happen for the hobby to stay alive. We've all seen games come and go, and that's one of the things I absolutely do not want to happen to Heresy. I'd like it to stay. I'd like it to thrive. I'd like it to expand, because I'm truly passionate about this game and the lore that surrounds it. So one thing I would really like to see done is us kind of expand our presence, both online and in sponsoring things. And one thing I'm kind of proud of is sponsoring the stuff for the Warzone, sending the posters down to the winners down there. I haven't sent those out yet. If you're listening, I will be sending those out this week. Sorry, a bout of unpleasant pneumonia the past week has kind of stopped me from getting those sent out, but those will be going out this week. And I've also been really proud of the art that kind of coincides with that, because if you have something like that, it's going to catch an eye, and people are going to like it or not. And so far, the big response to the art stuff that we've all come up with, idea wise, has been really positive. So people enjoying it, liking it, buying it, showing it off, having posters. It's been, I think, a big thing to spread our word and spread the word of the heresy, because it's just so damn fun and cool, and the posters and art are eye catching. So I guess, like I said, expand our scope of involvement with the community, build more community, as it were. So that's what I would like to see done over the next 100 episodes. An expansion. And people keep messaging me. So, Dan, what would you like to see over the next 100 episodes?
Well, I would say pretty much the same as you, right? I mean, I got into this because, I felt there was something missing in the hobby, and that, when I was new to the hobby, I loved listening to podcasts that focus on what we focus on, right? Hobby specific, and then touching on the lore, and then a lot of what's going on in the state of the game, events, what's good and what isn't in the rule set, all that kind of stuff. And there just wasn't a lot of that when we started, especially around focusing on 2.0 and knowing that, that was coming out. And yeah, I like what we've done so far. I haven't always been as involved and come in and out, but always been paying attention to what's going on in the hobby. And the same thing, right? There's I think um, I'm really looking forward to more space and what happens at Adepticon next year, because I think just the amount of folks who could register and go to events kind of limited um, how many people were playing Heresy at Adepticon. And I think that, I'm not sure we'll see that completely next year play out, but I think as we move forward, the bigger convention center is going to allow Heresy to grow at Adepticon. And I think the more we grow at Adepticon, the more we're going to grow in general. So I'm really looking forward to that. But yeah, overall, I just, like to continue to get people building and painting armies, see cool armies, see what people do with that, unique things. And I am very cautiously optimistic that at some point they're going to take this Age of Darkness rule set and they're going to expand it to hopefully the Scouring and some of the things that come after, and introduce more historic 40K that allow more hobby ideas. And maybe at some point where I'll jump in and instead of painting blue, I'll bring out my Manus wires and be painting some green, and have a bunch of folks doing Badab War armies or something like that with me too. So yeah, that's it. Just like to continue to try and grow the hobby, keep people listening, and hopefully people enjoy what we're talking about and tell their friends about us. So yeah, that's what I got. Jameson, what you got?
So, I try to help out. Let's call it networking, getting people that I know that run events or have been running events or doing certain things in the hobby to other people that are trying to start up events or start doing certain things in the hobby. Best example would be like helping Blake and Christopher get meet and then helping them kind of get started the Bama Heresy group, which has grown like exponentially like gangbusters, and other groups around the country and stuff like that, just with people that I know or people that have been in the hobby a long time. And that's probably what I'll continue doing. I also will keep doing like charity armies, be it Toys for Tots or like, with John or other causes. So I really enjoy doing that. Plus it just gives me something different to do every year. And I know a lot of people really like that a lot. And, it started a long time ago, like at least two or three podcasts before this one. And it's one of the things I've tried to keep going as long as I possibly have. And I really like to thank everybody that has helped and contributed and maybe even purchased one of the armies too. So I guess Jack.
I'm not gonna lie, I was working in the background on stuff. Are we talking about what we want to see in the future?
Yes.
Duncan
Specifically for the podcast.
Duncan play on a podcast on YouTube a Ultramarines army and like it. I would love to see that. Absolutely, 100% unmitigatedly. It could happen to an Adepticon near you. Who knows? Not 2025, but maybe 2026.
I almost hate to say this, but you do know there are rules and lore about even trader Ultramarine army. So if you're going to go that route, Duncan, that's the kind of thing I could see you doing, is make the blue boys evil in the best way you could do.
So I'm gonna go with no.
Well, Blake's doing that right now, but
yeah, Blake's doing that right now. And I respect the heck out of him for doing that.
No offense to Blake, but I'd love to see what Duncan would do to make that happen. Because
if it was Duncan, they'd probably all have some sort of close combat weapon, if I had to guess.
Sure. Yeah, but again, that's what I'd like to see, right? Of all the lore, Duncan could come up with something that, I mean, everybody says, well, the one group that started going to black and all that stuff, but Duncan would come up with something unique and different that I would love to see.
Okay,
so that'd be really, really interesting. And as much as I think it'd be cool, I'm really not a fan of the idea. Just because I don't want to do Ultramarines, so I'm gonna go with that.
But everybody wants to do Ultramarines.
Yep. Yeah, except me. I don't want to do Ultramarines. So,
but anyway,
I'm gonna go with
you'll
that.
come around. Anyway, sorry.
Anyway, Stuff that I would like to see us do in the future is continuing to focus on trying to be hobby positive, hobby positive affirmation, helping encourage people join the hobby, continuing to everybody on here has different responsibilities outside of this, but continuing to help support the hobby to the best of our abilities that doesn't end us in divorce or anything crazy like that. Living in a van down by the river, that's the last thing I want to do.
Yeah.
What about you, John?
Well, I think a lot of y'all have covered a lot of what I'm probably going to say anyway, but I think that we've become really a good voice for the hobby, capital H hobby. Not just the painting side, but also the camaraderie side, the gaming side, and everything. Because we're not afraid to talk about things that we like and also things that we dislike. So I think that really separates us from a lot of other podcasts that I've seen out there. I've seen a lot of ones that are super negative, and I've seen a lot of ones that are super positive. But we kind of try to tell the truth, and whether that's how we see certain things, or we've occasionally gotten certain things wrong. God knows I found out last week I've been playing Flyers a little bit wrong for the last 2.5 years, but that happens. But I think going forward, I want to keep pushing us to new heights. Whether that's the podcast itself, whether that's my painting abilities, whether that's more tables, whether that's events and things like that. I always, want to make sure that we can include as many people as we can, and kind of a rising tide lifts all ships type of thing. So make sure that as many people as we can include at Adepticon are included, as many people as we can every Wednesday night are included. Whether that's teaching classes, which we've kind of talked a little bit about, or making sure that certain people get certain things. I know when I went to Texas Open, we handed out a lot of stuff there, and then Warzone Houston, obviously Duncan sent the posters, and I handed out a lot of different. Handed out clippers, and then for some of the prizes, I gave away some of those watercolor pens so that people could use it for decals, and people just lit up when I said, "Yeah, this makes decals a lot easier." They're like, "Oh, really?" And I said, "Yeah." And showed them our video that Jack had put up and talked them through how to do it, and they were just, "Wow, that's so cool." Certain things that some people hadn't seen or hadn't thought of. That's kind of how we all got in this hobby, is just making sure that we all learn a little bit differently as we go along, and just making sure that we can do cool things. Do more cool things, kind of what we all want to do. Brian, are you back yet?
Yeah, I'm back.
What about you, buddy?
I want to see more meaningful campaign books released from Games Workshop. Seems like every book we've gotten has just been thinner and thinner.
Okay. And where would you like to see us going, sir, as a cast?
Well,
He wants us to
that leads me
book.
into that, and that I feel like overall the groups at large are kind of hobby starved at the moment. At least it seems that way with a lot of the veteran players. There's just not as much new stuff to digest. A lot of the supplements we've had have been rehashes of things we've already seen or read about. And I'd like to see the timetable on the supplements as far as what element of the crusade and or heresy they're putting units and rules out for progress a little bit further, so that I can hobby more on things that I want to do. I really would like to do Death Guard once they really get nasty. And I feel kind of stymied by not having that opportunity. And I think
kind of like with the Emperor's Children book that kind of expanded them into the demonic incursion verse. Okay.
Yeah, kind of like that. And I think that would help with all of us progressing this hobby along, and it'd probably help with getting a lot more people interested and help us build communities to have content like that out there. That's just my little tidbit.
Okay.
But all in all, it goes back into what all of you guys have already said. Things to help build communities, make stronger communities, and just make this game great, keep it great. That's what I want to see.
I can agree there. Well, we've talked about what we've done. We've talked about the news. We've talked about the last 100, and we've talked about the next 100. Shall we talk about the giveaway, or shall we talk about the other thing, John?
Well, we have the other thing.
Well, we have a couple other things to go on tonight.
What about the other thing?
I don't even know.
It involves the lubes and the donkey.
No. We left the donkey out this time.
Oh.
We went ahead and got a camel.
Damn people.
So I wasn't sure where we stood on swearing, but I'm positive lubes and donkey was on the no list still.
That's why we got rid of the donkey and got a camel.
And kept the lube.
No one said the camel was forbidden.
And lube.
Camel dating a goldfish?
And lube is
Lube's still fine.
Yeah, for the airbrush.
Yeah, obviously.
The camel signifies Wednesday hobby day being hump day, right? That's where we're going with that.
Oh,
of course.
It's dating a goldfish.
Oh, Jesus, I don't even want to know. So,
keep swimming. Sorry.
So obviously, as we all know, we're insane.
Oh,
so shall we talk about the event that's coming up in less than 6 months now?
I think so.
Okay. Hey, listeners, friends, people who are out there, you know what's a really cool event? Adepticon. You know what Adepticon has? Heresy games. Lots of Heresy games. You know who's sponsoring some of those Heresy games? We are. We're actually sponsoring we're sponsoring a number of Horus Heresy events at Adepticon 2025. Jack will be running a game on Thursday. I will be running a game on Thursday and on Sunday. Brian will be running a number of different games, including Zone Mortalis every single day.
Wait. Heresy on Sunday?
Heresy on Sunday. Heresy on Sunday. We got the Adepticon got the big new place, and Sunday is a day of gaming. So I figure if stuff's going to go on there, why not use that day that traditionally none of us actually do anything on, other than wander around, say hello and goodbye to our friends, and pack stuff up. So I figured, hey, let's have a big blow-off last event for Adepticon Heresy 2025. Hopefully it'll pick up. Hopefully it'll go well. I think it will. I'm not going to give out too many specifics on the games yet, because that all is still waiting to be approved. At least the ones I have submitted. But it's all narrative events. They may get listed as tournament, but that would only be for prize support purposes, for like medals and things like that. But we, the Heresy Accountability Buddies, are sponsoring events at Adepticon 2025 and running a number of those.
Now, I'm not saying be bought for judging or anything like that, but I can be bought if people want to know what the events are going to be. I'm very cheap. I like bourbon. P.O. Box 1356, Kentucky. If you send me bourbon, I will tell you what the events are.
Does that have to be good bourbon?
Yes.
He didn't say good. Oh, dang it.
Do you want
That's
me to
fair.
reveal
No more
one of
work.
the other secrets that's associated with that, Duncan?
Well, I think that would also be kind of a nice thing to reveal. So, why don't you go ahead, John?
So for Adepticon, kind of known as the table or terrain guy, my goal, and I'm going to be working like hell to achieve this goal, is to have 2 centerpiece tables done for Adepticon for our events.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What are you going to do with them? Do you have any ideas yet?
Well, I think we could raffle one of them away.
Oh,
You want to do a 3rd table?
that's pushing it a bit. I don't want to put too much work on you since you're the terrain guy, brother.
No, that's fine. I think a 3rd table. We just had a cool giveaway for a table, and I think that we should just do one for Adepticon.
Okay. Will this be another one of the tables from our friends over at Death Ray Design?
So the giveaway one will be, the other ones will not be.
Okay, cool. Well, that's awesome. I know we will also be having all our old and new posters will be there at Adepticon. And anyone who attends one of our events will get one free poster of their choice. And there might also be another as yet unseen poster out there that will get dropped probably just a little bit before Adepticon, so people can pick that up if they want.
I can tell you right now, I'm working on something in the background for my event that I'm going to print one for the best loyalist, and this is going to be done for the hardest hobby, and the best trader, again, for the hardest hobby.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
So what you're saying is that we are being hobby positive and promoting hobby positivity in the events
Hobby
that will be held at Adepticon 2025.
Hobby.
Hobby.
Yeah, we're like
There you
the space hobbies. You have hobbies for heads, hobby for guns, hobby for the whole entire hobby.
Nice.
I need to go to bed.
So I'm not privy to any of the stuff you're doing, but I think we should when we run a narrative, give campaign points to people who put in Golden Demon entries.
So that's a really interesting theory, Dan.
And if that's something that I'm stealing somebody's thunder because we're thinking of that already,
no,
I apologize.
No, you don't.
Because I know nothing.
Yes, Dan. We have kept Dan and Jamie kind of a little bit in the dark on this.
And I'm okay with that because I don't like spoilers a ton, and I'm not planning on running anything. This is going to be a travel, enjoy myself at the convention center, park my truck, live like a urban dude with no vehicle for 4 days, 5 days, whatever the hell, 6 days I end up doing, and completely different convention experience for me. And with that being said, I just want to enjoy everything, so I'm okay with not being spoiled.
I don't think it should just be limited to Golden Demons, though.
What do you mean by that, John?
I think you should get bonus points if you have a display board and you enter into the Adepticon display alley.
That'd be neat. That'd be a really awesome idea to think about. If only that was a thing that could be thought about and talked about. That would be kind of cool to do. I agree.
In the vein of the memedom world we live in, I'm gonna throw out, and you can all picture it, the "why not both" meme.
Yep.
Well, we could.
I'm tired of Heresy not going up there. I'm tired of Heresy being we've talked about this, and this is one of the main reasons that we're expanding the podcast and but in general, I want more people in Heresy, and I want Heresy to be recognized as, in all honesty, the superior game system.
That's one thing that we have talked about for a long time, is that the people who put all their effort into Heresy come up with absolutely stunning and amazing pieces of work. I have seen absolute stellar armies. I've seen beautiful Titans. I've seen amazing conversion work, just down to the little a squad member where people are personalizing everything and they're putting their absolute heart and soul into their hobby for Heresy. And it really does show, and it comes through. And I agree with John. It does need to be shown off. Doing something like that, putting stuff in the armies on parade or whatever it's called at Adepticon, I think would be amazing to have done. And I can't say or anything about the narrative campaign, about if people who enter the Golden Demon competition with a model or squad or what have you, or who get selected for the entry into whatever the Army on Parade thing is called. I can't promise that they would actually give campaign points for that, for the narrative campaign that our events will all be part of. But I will suggest it again. And I think that is something that could be done. I can't promise it, but I will make another suggestion of it, because John's absolutely right. Heresy needs to be shown off, because the stuff people put out is just purely amazing. And I'm not talking about my stuff. My stuff's garbage comparatively. But there's so much stuff out there that is just wow factor. It's amazing. And it deserves to actually be focused on.
There's something else too, is that we've long prided ourselves that the level of table terrain in Heresy events is far and above any of the GW big games anyway. I mean, when they run the Necromunda stuff, I'll argue that some of the Necromunda stuff is amazing for that setup. But for a non-skirmish game, Heresy has always been and prided ourselves at the quality of terrain, and I'd like to see us put a big diorama in as a community, or maybe as a podcast group, because I think we could show off that aspect of our hobbying very well, and expand that presence just based on knowing what we do to detail out a table in addition to the models we're putting on it.
I hear you. I think I can't promise that there will be individual recognition just by the Heresy group of event runners about awesome armies or anything like that, but I can say that I hope we do something like that just among ourselves to recognize those, because the hobbyists in the Heresy are amazing. And I'm not talking about people who are already absolute bonkers in the way they do everything and come up with amazing things like Matt Kane and company. But there's so much there that is absolutely beautiful and needs to be paid the attention it deserves.
Yep.
So that's my big announcement that needed to be made. There is one other announcement that needs to be made. Regarding the 2-day event going on down in the Bama Heresy, their 2-day event is upcoming is on January 11th and 12th, and there are a few tickets available still for those who only want to attend on the Saturday. Bergeron and Blake wanted me to pass that along, so guys, that's me passing it on for you.
Yeah, they've had a lot of interest from outside the normal area about coming to it for both days, not just one day. So they're expecting an even bigger crowd than they had at the one that they just had, like, very recently. Like,
I know we're in the middle of talking about things, and I hate to make a suggestion for how we handle things, but that'd be the kind of announcement that wouldn't be bad to throw in at the beginning with our sponsors, and
we really should do a thing of
Patreon at the beginning, right? I think
it really should be. You're right.
But events are such a big thing for the community, so we could do sponsors, thank our patrons, shout out to upcoming events.
Yeah, We really should, and we'll make that change going forward.
Sorry to interrupt. I know nobody
No.
cares about us talking about logistics. Maybe Jack can cut this out, or maybe not.
Why?
It just makes sense.
Hey, we talk about stuff all the time. This is kind of what we do. Leave it in there.
I've gone back and forth with my notepad to mark down this timestamp probably 5 times already.
There we go.
Well, I just assume you do that every time I talk and cut half of it out because I never listen. So
You're not wrong. I mean, hey, buddy.
if you do that and get the podcast out and the schedule you get it out on, I'm even more impressed.
Oh, all right then. Do we have anything else we want to mention at this point, or should we move to the book giveaway?
Do we want to talk about the hobby shopping cart?
Yes, let's mention that. Jamie, why don't you take that away, sir?
So, I know John and I kind of pride ourselves on trying to, I'm not going to say outdoing ourselves on finding neat tips and tricks for our hobby that we have.
We're tool whores. It's okay to say.
We're tool whores, you know. And so, like, you know, in the past, we've given out recommendations on stuff to get or stuff that we actually use in our hobby. And people ask us, like, hey, I heard you talking about this a bunch of episodes ago, and I can't really find it. Do y'all know where I can get this, or where I might be able to find that, or what the name of this was? And John and I are always finding new stuff, too, to add in. And then, like, we'll talk with Brian, friend of the show, Brian, that does a lot of the hobby hangouts and some of the painting for the show, and like Christopher Bergeron and a couple other guys that are like really deep in the woods and into the actual like finding or building and painting of stuff in the hobby. So I decided to kind of take it upon myself, because we keep getting questions about like what I need to do for this or what tools I need to do for this, that I decided to make an Amazon shopping cart. And it's not for you all to buy us stuff. It's so that this tools and the equipment that we've found are kind of centrally located and easily accessible for everybody that needs them. And I mean, it's anything and everything that we use in the hobby. Like even today, like while we're in the podcast, we've been adding stuff into it, and I've been working on it for, you know, about a week or two. And I mean, it's gone back to stuff that I know John and I have mentioned maybe up for like 10 years and with other, you know, forums and podcasts and stuff like that. And I mean, it's a broad gamut of tools and equipment and disposable stuff that anybody can use. And I guess we'll definitely put it up in the Discord, so it's got a permanent home, and we'll put it up on the Facebook page as well. And like we know, we've had other hosts add stuff into it over the past couple weeks while we've been working on it, and I've been working on it. If you have suggestions to add more stuff to it, just let us know, and we can add them in it. But I mean, it's pretty comprehensive. I mean, it's got everything from airbrushes to paint hoods to random tools, like disposable cups to mix stuff in, filters. I mean, files, you name it. It's like if you got the Sears catalog when you were a little kid, or the JCPenney catalog, you know, for Christmas time, the wish book, and your parents handed you the pen and told you to circle what you wanted for Christmas. This is pretty much that, except for hobbyists. It's the best way to put it. I mean, it's like literally anything and everything, and it goes from some stuff that's dirt cheap to like I just put in like brand new Harder and Snyder airbrushes, which are, you know, $300. So I mean, it covers the full gamut of the hobby. So, and it's kind of like I wanted to do something special for the listeners for the 100th show, and this was kind of my big contribution for that.
And even as Timmy's talking about it, I just sent him something else that occurred to me to add to the list.
And again, like if listeners have any suggestions, hit one of the hosts up, and we'll be happy to take a look at it and add it into the cart.
Yeah, and again, this isn't something that we want you all to buy us. This is a list of things that we feel we use and endorse and think you could find some use for it in your hobby.
Yeah, and I mean, I've done this in the past for like when we've had like painters that have come over and done classes. They'll have like a shopping list of stuff that you need for their class. And I've made those up for them in the past. And this doesn't actually, I don't think we've actually added paints to it yet.
No, we haven't. And I don't think we should.
Yeah, because it's kind of a personal thing for everybody, what they want to use. But yeah,
I think our link tree gives, the paints that support us and we have relationships with. So I think keeping this separate from that makes sense. This is more generic. I got some ideas too that I'll look up and send across to you, because I know there's like some makeup brushes for cleaning and a few things that I don't see on here yet that I've had recommended to me and I've found to be very useful. So.
Yeah, and I mean, like, I know not everything's available through Amazon, but this is I'd say this is pretty comprehensive so far on what, if we can't get the thing that we directly have used, it'll be like an adjacent thing that to whatever we've, like, tool or whatever we used that you could get through it. And this was just like the simplest way to do it, so that everybody would have accessibility to it wherever you are.
Yeah, I know I have I see you got the Vortex mixers on there, and I have a more expensive one that's through Amazon, but the concept is the same. So
Yeah, and I just added the acupuncture needles. So if anyone wants
for the antenna. I have like generic magnets in there that I use for what was it for like putting, like, it's the proper size holes that GW has put in, like Forge World's put in a lot of their models recently, like I know on the Dread Claws and the Speeders and stuff. I actually measured all that out and found some, and I ordered them for some of the models that I've been doing recently. Just as a trial, I was guinea pigging for everybody, and they work. They work very well for the price and the volume of it. I'm not saying you can't get them elsewhere. This was just like a good central repository for, information for everybody, basically.
Yep. Good idea.
Yep, I think it's a wonderful idea. Was there anything else we want to discuss before we move to the book giveaway?
So there's going to be a second giveaway.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So on my fridge, I've had a Space Marine 1 Collector's Edition Purity Seal on my fridge for a long time. And the other day I knocked it off the fridge and kind of glued it back together as much parts as I could find. And I have a replacement for that. And so what I'll be doing is I'll be giving away that Space Marine 1 Purity Seal. It's got some chips in it, so it's not perfect, but it's definitely kind of cool looking. So we will do 2 drawings, one for the book and then the other one for the Purity Seal.
Sounds cool. Do we have the complete list of everyone who has put in their entries through being a Patreon or through entering in the contest channel?
Yep, all 24 entries.
Sounds good. Will we be able to post that list of everyone on somewhere so people can see it?
Sure. I'll have to edit out the emails because I just took their email. So whether they've got their email or whether they've got their post name. I took out JP. He posted in there. He wishes us well. He just did not want to enter to win the book because he already got one.
No, well, that's fair. Thank you for letting us know.
I appreciate everyone's response from this, not just because we're giving away a book, but everyone really came out and said nice things about, obviously the podcast and what we're doing and how we're going forward. So I appreciate all the kind words that were said in there. And, it's important to us to have feedback as far as, what we should be covering in the future. And obviously a lot of people seem to really like the event coverage and how we're doing in that. A lot of people even like our hobby progress and what we're working on through there. And then a couple people really like the fact that we're not just podcasters, we're also gamers, and they've actually met a few of us at conventions.
I think that's one of my favorite parts of it is getting to meet people and hang out with them and talk to them and just become friends, honestly.
Yep.
As Jack has put it, I become a social butterfly.
You have.
Which is absolutely abnormal for me, so yay.
I am kind of the opposite, I'll admit, in person, but I do appreciate everyone coming up and saying hi and stuff. So.
I have to admit, I talk to people in this podcast and the Heresy crew in general probably more than I do my parents.
Yeah, I'm close. Yeah.
There we go.
My wife's shaking her head at me. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
So you said we have 24 entries. We want to do this through a random number generator?
Yep, I've got one pulled up right now.
You want to stream it so that anyone who watches the recording can watch it happen live? Or sort of live-ish? Or
when
whatever?
I figure out which monitor I want to put that on.
Oh, you're going to make me click on stuff, aren't you? Okay. I have it up on the big screen. So it records.
All right. Let me get this monitor set up so that we can do that.
Until then, Duncan, how would you
Yes,
write
Jack.
the Ultramarines list?
Nope. Don't want to share that one.
I'm sorry.
All right. We good?
Give me
Yes.
uno momento, por favor. Still loading.
So-
I can see a stream.
There we go. I see it now.
All right. So we've got 1 all the way down to 24 there. And 1 to 24 here.
Which one's this for?
This is for the book first.
Okay, so number 10.
Borksalot.
Congratulations, Borksalot, on getting the collector's edition of End in the Death Volume 3.
And then for the Purity Seal, 22. And that one's an email. So I don't want to dox all of our patrons. I'm going to drag this off real quick and just read the first part of the email. Bep963. I'll reach out to him.
At
Sounds good.
AOL.com.
Yes, because AOL is all of it.
At Prodigy.com.
Prodigy, yes.
At WordPress.
Do they still have Prodigy email addresses?
They still have AOL emails.
I know people have kept their AOL email addresses. So yeah.
Well, it could be Netscape. Who knows?
I use a Yahoo one all the time.
Yeah, Dan, but you're like 70.
I still have my Hotmail.
Hotmail,
Hotmail, Yahoo, and I can't remember the other one. One of the older ones. Me, which is Apple's old one.
I'm about as old as you can get without being a boomer, so I'm not a boomer.
I don't believe that.
And I know the response is going to be okay, boomer.
I don't believe that for a second, Dan.
Yep, no.
Is that Dan literally saying, "How do you do, fellow kids"?
Yeah, that is Dan doing that, fellow.
Are you down with the sickness too?
Oh my lord, we are definitely showing our craziness. Well, gentlemen, I think now that we've done the giveaways and we've done all the talking, I think that about comes to a wrap on episode 100. Anybody got anything else they want to bring up before we call it a night here?
Yeah, I do.
Oh, go ahead.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in, because without the listeners, we wouldn't be here.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm honestly kind of surprised at myself and all of us that we've made it to 100. I'm super enthused that we have.
Yeah.
And look forward to at least 100 more.
I'll be honest. When we first started this, I thought we were do maybe
22,
30 or 40 and then kind of get bored and stop. Honestly, the fact that we're still here 100 episodes later doing this really gives me a lot of happiness.
Yeah,
I'm proud of everything we've done here.
I had a failed podcast in was it 5th or 6th edition that kind of fell apart after about 10 episodes, and then I haven't even had a game group stay together this long. I'm totally honest with you.
Jack and I had podcast we've talked about in the past.
We went to 12?
No, we got 21.
Okay.
We got 21, and Jesus, I'm pretty sure we could have stopped after episode 3. Anyway, yeah, thank you everyone out there for listening or watching or however you get your podcast review, news, listenings done. You're the reason we do this, and we appreciate all of you. Remember to stay accountable to yourself, accountable to your buddies, accountable to your hobby, and we will catch you next time. I'm Duncan, and I've been joined by my friends.
Brian.
Dan.
Jack.
Jamie.
And John.
And we will catch you next time.
Ooh, we got the order right twice.
I know. Now we will not get it done until
Episode 200.
Episode 200.
There you go.
Like and subscribe, and see ya.